This program contains graphic violence and sexual content. Viewer discretion is advised. Fame. It can transform a small-town dreamer into a superstar. Some people make it, and others die trying, their dreams interrupted. One Southern California girl is working hard, hoping to be a star.
Linda was in high demand, working a lot.
She begins as a model and wants to become an actress.
She lived in a very vibrant area of Southern California, right at the beach.
It put her in the right rooms with the right people, big wigs, celebrities, movers and shakers in Hollywood.
Her career was actually on the rise. She had just been cast for a part on Married with Children.
But she learns striving toward fame comes with dangers.
There's always somebody out there who wants to take advantage of you.
There were shady people in her life that had ulterior motives.
One beautiful LA day, she just disappears.
We had no leads, we had no witnesses, we had no suspects.
It started ramping up and becoming a lot more serious.
A shocking tale of real talent destroyed.
I remember the heinous, horrific way in which she took her last breath.
For aspiring stars like Linda Sobek, sometimes the pursuit of fame kills. Los Angeles, California, land of Hollywood and the promise of fame. But it can also be a boulevard of broken dreams. It draws aspiring stars from around the world and right next door. 27-year-old Linda Sobek grew up in the LA suburb of Lakewood.
Linda and her family were really close. She was the only girl, she had a big brother, and she was just the bright spot in the family. Just a really fun, outgoing young girl.
Just a regular girl who becomes a model.
When I think of Linda Sobek, I think of the Beach Boys and the song, I Wish They Could All Be California Girls, because in the 80s, Linda Sobek epitomized the California girl. She was blonde, she was petite, she was athletic, she was surf, sand, and sun. She was the billboard on Sunset Strip. She was a little bit girl next door, but a little bit sex pot, all combined.
Linda Sobek wanted to get into the acting world. She was trying to make her way in Los Angeles like a lot of other young women.
Linda was always incredibly busy. She had different shoots booked and opportunities lined up, and she was just a really busy bee.
Her career was actually on the rise. She had just been cast for a part on the television show Married with Children, and she was supposed to go to a costume fitting for that show.
This was big because it would propel her from the modeling world into the acting world, which is what she really wanted.
Linda had gotten herself a spot on the Fox network. She is now going to have this opportunity on the hippest, hottest network, on one of the hippest, hottest shows. This could catapult her career, being seen on Married with Children.
Before the costume fitting this evening, a modeling gig just outside of town. As always, she made sure to let loved ones know what's going on.
And Linda had left a message on her answering machine.
Hello, you reached Linda. It's 11 a.m. on Thursday, and I will be on location all day today, so I will not have access to a telephone.
She sounded like she was very excited to do this shoot. She didn't say where the shoot was, and there wasn't a telephone number for follow-up. And this is back in a time when it wasn't typical for people to have cell phones.
Like she's done countless times before, she's off to work, being beautiful in a beautiful setting. But this is not like those other times. This time is different.
I haven't heard back from you, so I'm getting a little bit worried, so please give me a call.
Hours pass. Her mom calls and calls.
Her and her mother had such an amazing relationship, and they talked all the time, constantly, multiple times a day. They were very close.
It made her family wonder where was she, and they hadn't heard anything from her. So it was very unusual.
Hey, Linda.
Incoming messages from loved ones pile up.
See if you're okay.
Concern grows.
Just a little worried about you. I haven't heard from you all day.
She would not have gone someplace for that long a period of time without contacting her mother or a friend. So her mother knew that it was extremely out of character for her to do this, so she felt as though something terribly had happened to her.
Linda's quest for fame begins early as she grows up half an hour southeast of LA, in Lakewood.
Linda loved to be the center of attention. She loved being in an arena where all eyes were on her.
She loved dancing. She got involved in pageants. She did all the things that the young hopefuls in Southern California do to try to make it.
Linda had her first taste of the modeling industry in high school. At the age of 16, she got chosen to model for the photography students at Cerritos College.
In Little Lakewood, she's a real standout, but she wants more.
After high school, Linda does enroll in Cerritos College. She's able to, in 2 years, get her associate's degree, but that's not what Linda wanted to do. She really knew she wanted to be in front of the camera.
Her first opportunity for fame, a long-shot tryout to be a cheerleader for her hometown team, the LA Raiders.
Linda was so determined to be an LA Raiderette that she went to the open calls, and these auditions are rigorous. There's so many people there.
1,000 women, equally beautiful, equally determined, equally motivated probably, but she said, I'm going to get this. And she won out of 1,000 other hopefuls. She won one of the 40 coveted spots. And I believe it was because of Linda's vivaciousness. She just had that smile and that look and that attitude. I'm small but mighty.
Working as a Los Angeles Raiders cheerleader is a way many young women get started. Paula Abdul was a Lakers girl, so I guess she was following in that.
Becoming an LA Raiderette was one of the best things that ever happened to Linda. It put her in the right rooms with the right people, big wigs, celebrities, people that really were movers and shakers in Hollywood. And so this was a great opportunity for her to kind of rub elbows with people that could help her career along the way. It was something very different for Linda. She was used to being this big fish in a small pond. But now she's like a little guppy among these women who, had danced for years and were very competitive and very professional.
But she won't be intimidated.
Once you become a Raiderette, it's almost like a sisterhood. These women spend a lot of time together, not just at the games, but there were long, rigorous rehearsals multiple times a week. And so they really formed a bond with each other because they knew each other best.
And soon, she rises to the top of the field. In 1993, she's voted Raiderette of the Year.
Winning really showed Linda that she had what it took to stand out in those Hollywood glitz and glamour kind of crowds. It reaffirmed her confidence, and it showed that she was a standout.
She's out there, she's seen. It seemed like the perfect entree to make that into the next step, to be a performer on screen, whether it be television or film.
In a career arc similar to Terry Hatcher, who started as a cheerleader for the 49ers. After the 1994 season, the Raiders organization moves to Oakland, 370 miles north of LA. It's been 4 amazing years, but Linda won't follow.
Linda decided to leave the Raiderettes for a few different reasons. It was really competitive, and every year the girls had to try out. And so as a veteran, you're competing against the younger, newer girls that are just fresh in the water. Also, Linda kind of outgrew it. So it was time for Linda to kind of just move on.
And this is gonna be my last season, and I want you all to know that I'll miss you, and God bless you all, and just remember that I love you all.
To really make it big, she needs to head to the hot spots. So at 26, she moves out of her childhood home and to the hip shores of Hermosa Beach.
She's very close to her family, but the beach was calling her name. She moved to Hermosa in a 4-bedroom house with a few of her friends.
Hermosa Beach is a small, almost cliched California beach town. Good nightlife, a lot of young people, a lot of people in the industry, television and movies, that found Hermosa Beach convenient to be able to get up to Hollywood, to the studios.
She throws herself into print work, but her short stature means her jobs have more bikinis than ball gowns.
She wasn't quite tall enough to be a runway model, and she wasn't gonna make it in high fashion. She was only 5'4", but she had a gorgeous body.
Which men's magazines appreciate.
She was really making a name for herself.
She booked gigs doing swimsuit spreads. She worked with automotive companies, posters, lingerie. She really did do it all.
It's not ideal, and there are some shady operators to watch out for. And she knows she's up against a clock.
Modeling can't last forever. You kind of top out when you hit a certain age.
One of the things that's very difficult to accept, but it's a reality in Los Angeles, is that for every beautiful woman today, there's another one coming up the pike. Can you imagine being one little speck in a sea of equally beautiful women aspiring to be famous? So you constantly have to reinvent yourself if you're someone who wants to make it in show business.
Linda was hoping to turn her modeling and cheerleading into a television or movie career.
She's moving in the right direction. But in the City of Angels, a few devils hide.
Los Angeles is a big city. There's a lot of bad things that could happen to you. And you have to really take care of yourself, especially if you're a young woman. This is a total Los Angeles story. Her quest for fame, unfortunately, put her in connection with a crazy person.
Linda Sobek is a small-town girl with big aspirations. By 1995, she's been a pro cheerleader and a model. Cheering was fun, and modeling brings in some money, but she's still working hard to achieve her real dream of being a Hollywood star and a household name.
Linda really wanted to transition from modeling to acting to really secure her career, make more money, and really focus on family life. She wanted a husband, she wanted kids.
Like her favorite actress, Kim Basinger, who also rose from modeling to acting, then started a family.
I have some exciting news to tell you.
Linda's hard work begins paying off when she gets cast on Married with Children. Later this evening, a wardrobe fitting.
A costume or wardrobe fitting means you're securing your spot, you're being fitted for your wardrobe for that episode, and you've really landed the gig.
It'll be a busy day.
That day, she made sure to go to the gym, which she loved. But while she was at the gym, she got a page.
It's from the photographer she's shooting on location with. He tells her where to meet. She knows Married with Children is a great start, but it doesn't guarantee regular acting work. For now, she has to keep modeling.
She knew she had time to do the photo shoot because her wardrobe fitting wasn't until later in the day. So she got her things and went on her way.
After 24 hours, no one has heard from her.
There were no phone calls. That was very unusual.
Linda's mother reached out to the authorities and filed a missing persons report.
But the investigation starts out slowly.
One of the first theories that goes through our mind when a person is missing, especially from the small beach community, is that they found some romantic interest and they're staying away from their house for that reason.
But loved ones know something's wrong and refuse to wait.
Her friends immediately started passing out flyers and contacting the media, trying to drum up whatever they could to bring attention to the fact that Linda was missing.
Make sure you contact us if you hear anything and inform the public, okay?
Their energy encourages a police response.
Being told that this was not typical behavior for Linda to not check in with people, it started ramping up and becoming a lot more serious.
Investigators contact Fox Studios, the producers of Married with Children, and what they learn casts a dark shadow on the case.
All right, go ahead and take Linda. Linda Sobek.
Linda was a no-show at the wardrobe fitting for her big part.
As anybody who is in the television or entertainment business knows, that jobs like that don't grow on trees, and you don't miss fitting because they'll go hire somebody else right away. And that was a big deal.
Police try to retrace her steps, starting with her answering machine message. She said she was going on a remote shoot, but not where or with whom.
Linda was in high demand, working a lot. It wasn't typical for her to tell people exactly where she was going or what she was going to shoot, because she just would go to work. And it was work wherever work happened to be.
If she's being held somewhere, every passing minute matters. So detectives pound the pavement to dig up more leads.
At this point, police are talking to anyone and everyone that they can, family, friends, ex-boyfriends, people that they knew were even acquaintances of Linda. They really wanted to get as much information as they could.
It made it difficult for us to try and track down where she was, because with models, they work for different people, different producers, different agencies on a regular basis, and trying to track down one person or one model through all of these different agencies created a difficult situation for our detectives. We interviewed photographers that she had worked with, production companies that she had worked with, her agent, her manager, anybody that would have had some kind of recent contact with her. Is there anybody that doesn't like her? Is there anybody she's had a run-in with? Is there anybody that has a grudge against her?
As police question insiders, they begin piecing together Linda's timeline.
On the day that she was reported missing, she had a schedule to go to the gym, which apparently she did every day.
She was in the gym 6 days a week. We're not talking light treadmill. She really was pounding the weights. It really put her in great physical shape.
Her neighbors, her friends all went to that gym. So there was a lot of people to talk to, find out whether or not they had seen her, if they knew where she was, if she had checked in with them.
Had someone from the gym grown obsessed with her? Police ask if Linda had struggled. Friends say she, like all actresses, did. It's never easy in this town.
To make it in Hollywood, you have to have talent, you have to know the right people, you have to get some lucky breaks.
The people that are pursuing this dream have to really be prepared to deal with the rejection, because if you go on 100 calls and you get one, that's a lot of rejection.
In Los Angeles, there are 1 million Linda Sobeks. One person is as beautiful as the next.
Loved ones explain she recently made some changes to increase her chances of standing out.
Linda was really determined to make it big by any means necessary. So those late party nights, those were completely off limits for Linda. She was really focused on health and fitness and making sure that her body was perfect for this industry.
She'd also been focusing on her spiritual side.
Linda's faith was a big part of her life, and at 27, she decided to get rebaptized and became a born-again Christian in her friend's backyard pool in Torrance. And it was such a beautiful event, and it was also really emotional for Linda.
Investigators know lifestyle changes like hers should make her less likely to be the victim of a crime, not more.
You're not leaving. This is not over. If you leave me, you are dead.
Then they learn about a dangerous ex-boyfriend.
Linda once had a relationship with a professional bodybuilder. And during that relationship, from what we were told by friends, was he was very physical and very abusive towards her. That was one of the avenues that we're looking at. Maybe he might have been responsible for her disappearance.
This bodybuilder was a big guy, would have been able to easily overpower her. It was somebody that we had to look at.
Is it possible her ex wasn't ready to let her go?
We were exploring all avenues that we could, and the one ex-boyfriend that was physical with her, he became a focus of our investigation.
They need to track him down fast. If he has Linda, time is running out to save her.
It was frustrating because time is critical. You want to find that person as soon as possible.
Southern California girl next door turned actress Linda Sobek begins achieving her hard-won dream of making it big in Los Angeles.
Linda absolutely was hitting her stride and was definitely at the top of her game.
But on the day of her costume fitting for a role on Married with Children, she tells friends she's off to a modeling shoot, then vanishes. Hermosa Beach detectives try to track down an ex-boyfriend with a violent record in case he grabbed her.
It's no secret that the first person that law enforcement looks at when a young woman goes missing are the love interests in her life. And we know that Linda did have a boyfriend or a past boyfriend who did show signs of aggressiveness. So obviously, he's the first person that they are going to ask questions of.
But when we contacted him for an interview, he had a perfect alibi. He had been out of town, wasn't here, didn't have any contact with her, and was quickly eliminated as any kind of a suspect in foul play.
Hoping to trace her movements, investigators take a look at Linda's financial trail.
All of her bank records, all of her credit card use, all stopped the day she disappeared. That indicated she was either in a place where she couldn't use it or was in a place where she didn't need to use it.
Because Linda's car was also missing, it could be that she could have gone on a road trip. She could have gone with friends unknown to her friends and family. She could have gone anywhere in a vehicle. And it was very important that we did get that information out to the public on a vehicle description.
As the mystery builds, so does the media frenzy.
The media is always interested in a missing person story. In this case, it was sensational in that television could show the sexy pictures of Linda Sobek in their reports. And in fact, they would film them in a certain way, starting at her feet and moving the camera up her body to her face. And it was all sort of done in a sensational manner.
This was one of the first big cases after the O.J. Simpson trial. She was young, she was a beautiful model. She had her friends who were concerned about her and going on television.
It's not like Linda to not answer her pages.
I wish she'd come through the door and that this was all over and this is a nightmare.
I remember so vividly the day that I was assigned to this story. I had just come off the very grueling and intensive and exhausting O.J. Simpson trial. And it was just a few weeks later that we get word that Linda Sobek is missing. Beautiful model was scheduled to do a fitting for her big break in television. Suddenly, she's gone. People knew right away something was wrong.
It was incredibly important that the media picked up Linda's story. It really helped to have all eyes on this story so that if she was still alive, someone maybe could have spotted her and alerted the authorities.
Tips flood in.
Being in Southern California in a beach city, there's a lot of pretty blondes living in the town, and people would think that they saw Linda.
You get a lot of calls. You get people that call in and say, I saw Linda on the 405 freeway. I saw Linda's car at the mall. And so you get all these information, all these tips coming in, and for the most part, the people mean well, and so these tips, if they're viable, what we do is we go out and we investigate it. And none of the tips actually panned out.
We also had some of the crazier calls come in from psychics who believed that they knew where Linda was. We followed up on a couple of those tips, even though they were improbable, and they led to nothing.
It's a frustrating case. Linda's out there somewhere, but where?
We had exhausted speaking to all of her friends, her family, and already had asked the public's help in finding her and her vehicle. We had really absolutely no information to go on. We had no leads, we had no witnesses, we had no suspects.
Then, finally, a solid lead.
A gentleman called the Hermosa Beach Police Department and said that he had seen her photograph on the news. He had told us that he had recently been working in the Los Angeles National Forest picking up trash, and he found pictures of Miss Sobek.
So this maintenance worker goes home and he's got the photographs and he's sort of admiring the photographs.
He had been showing his friends pictures of Linda, saying, hey, this is my new girlfriend. And then he saw the coverage of this missing girl that he had a picture of.
And lo and behold, it's the same woman.
And he was afraid that somebody might think that he was a suspect.
And he is. But right now, they finally have a place to search. The trash where he says he found the photos. And they have to move fast.
And it turned out that all of the trash was slated to be scooped up and put into a dump truck and driven to a dump.
Investigators race to get to the trash before crucial evidence is hauled away and scattered or destroyed. They arrive just in time. Now, they have to sort through hundreds of pounds of garbage.
Our detectives gathered up all the trash and took it back to the Hermosa Beach Police Department, where we painstakingly went through all the trash bit by bit to see if there was any evidence that the property was Miss Sobek's.
Going through the trash and looking for evidence was time-consuming. It was difficult. It was dirty. But everybody was determined to turn over every piece of trash in that pile, looking for any evidence whatsoever.
After countless man-hours, they hit gold.
We found Linda's day planner. We found more photographs of her, other personal items that belonged to Linda.
It doesn't crack the case like they'd hoped.
Her day planner only gave us details about her schedule up to that point. It didn't indicate the particular job that she had left the message on her answering machine about. It was helpful in the sense that it told us she had been there. It wasn't helpful in the sense that it didn't have any more information about her whereabouts from that Thursday.
Still, the find is a crucial development.
Prior to that, we had no information regarding where she might have been, and finding the information in Angeles National Forest was extremely vital because now it gives us a focal point.
The area is beautiful, some of it forested, some desert-like. But it has a dark reputation.
The Angeles National Forest is rather large, 1,000 square miles. And it really is a place where sightseers love, picnickers love, but unfortunately, killers love it too.
It's convenient for criminals to dump murder victims. It's isolated, while at the same time bordering Los Angeles.
Everyone prays she's no murder victim.
When a loved one goes missing, everybody always holds out hope that they're being held hostage, that they're still alive, that they bumped their head, they had amnesia, and they're wandering, and they're going to be found.
Investigators launch a massive search for the missing actress.
Search and rescue teams, cadets, police officers, just combing the mountainside for anything they could find.
Linda's family and friends came up to the mountains and began a search along the sides of the road.
The area's huge, the terrain difficult. The chances of finding anything are slim. But the friends' efforts pay off.
And they were able to find more of Linda's property, curling iron, curlers for her hair, makeup, things that were directly related to Linda and her disappearance.
No sign of her, just her stuff, dumped like trash.
People are really worried and don't understand what could have happened to Linda.
Detectives look further into the man who said he found the photos.
In an investigation, everyone is a suspect. Everyone. Family members, friends, the gentleman that found the stuff in the trash. So we have to look at the totality of the circumstances surrounding that. We have to look at their alibis. We have to look at where they were when the crime occurred.
Was the maintenance worker trying to point them in the wrong direction?
Suspects will sometimes try and involve themselves in a case in an effort to throw off any suspicion for themselves. They become overly helpful. They try and give you misdirection to take you off of their trail.
Is he really just a good Samaritan? Or does he know more than he claims? On the brink of achieving her lifelong dream of Hollywood fame, Linda Sobek vanishes. Searchers find her makeup, hair curlers, and more in the Angeles National Forest. Had the beautiful blonde attracted the wrong kind of attention?
Linda really was loved by everyone, but this also means that there were probably shady people in her life that had ulterior motives. Maybe there are people there that have maybe taken her or were infatuated with her.
Detectives interview the maintenance worker who says he found the photos in the forest.
Of course, we had to check him out, check out his background, check out what his story was. We were able to track his steps. Where was he? Who was he with? And he was eliminated as a suspect.
Police are back at square one. They continue searching through the materials rescued from the dump.
And this is all evidentiary, so we have to handle it with rubber gloves. We have to photograph and categorize all this.
The nasty work reveals another important clue.
While examining the trash at the Hermosa Beach Police Department, I found an owner's manual to a vehicle. When I opened the owner's manual, I thumbed through it to see if there was any paperwork in there. There was a folded piece of paper for a lease agreement for a luxury utility vehicle. The vehicle lent to a person by the name of Charles Rathbun, and it had his phone number, his address, his driver's license, and it happened to have the date on it that he did pick up the vehicle, and it happened to be the same date as Miss Sobek's disappearance.
So who is this mystery man?
Charles Rathbun was a highly regarded photographer. He was highly sought after.
Worked for one of the biggest publishing houses in the world, mostly automotive work. This guy had pictures in Motor Trend. He was connected.
And he was someone that women like Linda Sobek knew just from doing photo shoots.
We're looking at the evidence that we have in hand, the loan agreement, the name of Charles Rathbun, the fact that he's a photographer, the fact that he has possession of this car for a photo shoot. We needed to talk to Charles Rathbun.
I called Mr. Rathbun and I talked to him.
Yeah, this is Charles.
One of the first questions I asked him is, when was the last time he was in Los Angeles National Forest? And he had said that he had been there a couple of weeks prior.
That's well before Linda vanished.
And then I asked him, well, when was the last time he had spoken to Miss Sobek?
He says it was the day she disappeared.
Charlie had told me that he had met with Miss Sobek in the city of Torrance.
Hey, Linda, thanks for coming out.
No problem. How are you?
That she actually sat in the passenger seat. He examined her portfolio and he spoke with her. He told me that she looked a little hard for what he wanted to use a model for regarding this photo shoot, and that he told her that he wasn't going to be able to use her.
But you know, I don't think that you would be right for this part.
And that she got in her vehicle and drove away. He drove away.
It's the sort of interaction that happens every day for models and photographers in LA. Yet Rathbun never called to tell police he'd seen her that day, despite her face being all over the news.
He puts himself with her on the day of her disappearance. That is significant. He says that she's sitting in his car on that day. That's significant.
Sure. Yeah.
So I asked for him to come down to the police department, and I wanted just to interview him.
I'll be there.
Rathbun agrees to meet that afternoon. Police waste no time and head to the restaurant where Rathbun said he met with Linda. And there, they find a huge piece of the puzzle.
Linda's car had been missing, and it was one of the primary pieces of evidence that we wanted to find. Torrance police officers spotted the car, and they checked the license plate, and it came up as Linda's car.
But there's no sign of Linda. One important detail, an anti-theft device, still on the steering wheel.
Linda's car was processed as a crime scene, and it didn't yield really anything other than she had secured the car. It had been sitting in that parking lot for a period of time. It was easy to go unnoticed because this 24-hour restaurant always had cars in the parking lot.
It didn't take long for the media to figure this out. There were helicopters and all the TV trucks rolled in. Every TV truck in town was there because obviously this story has escalated.
The conversation I had with Charlie, he had said that she had driven away, that he had driven away. If she had driven away, that car would not still be parked there with the car club still intact.
Police appear to have caught him in a lie. Their concern grows when Rathbun fails to meet with them as promised.
So Charlie doesn't show up for our meeting, which is highly suspicious. He calls the police department. I speak to him on the phone. He apologizes for missing our meeting, and he agrees to meet me at the police department in an hour.
While preparing a search warrant for his home, they do a deep dive into his background. And what they find confirms their suspicions.
Charles Rathbun was a bit of a loner, a bit of an outsider, somebody who wasn't necessarily a social person and wasn't necessarily well-liked.
He was arrogant, and he would flirt with the models. Sometimes he would be really unfriendly towards the people that worked for the auto magazines.
Now, the other thing that Linda Sobek probably did not know at the time was that Charles Rathbun, for all his great work as an automotive photographer, tended to hit on the models and was causing a lot of problems for his employers, who were actually starting to back off a little in terms of hiring him.
I do a computer check on him, and I realized that Mr. Rathbun had been arrested a couple of times for various assaults, two of which happened to be of a sexual nature.
Again, he fails to show up as planned at the station.
Charles Rathbun shot immediately to the top of the suspect list. The fact that Rathbun balked at coming to the station after initially saying that he would raised our suspicions. And at the same time, we're still sending a surveillance team out to his house to try and make sure that if he does leave, that we know where he is.
I call him and said, hey, listen, I really want to talk to you. And he says,
I guess you need to talk to me because I'm the last one that saw her alive.
You could have knocked me over with a feather. This guy just basically said he was the last one to see her alive. And with all the evidence we had, all the information we had regarding Charlie's background, it was extremely obvious that he had something to do with her disappearance.
When LA model and actress Linda Sobek goes missing, police believe photographer Charles Rathbun is involved.
While we were preparing the search warrant at the Hermosa Beach Police Department, the Sheriff's Department was watching Charlie's house. During that time, Charlie gets 2 visitors.
Calm down, calm down, calm down.
One of the women is his attorney, the other a friend, who's an off-duty sheriff's deputy.
Don't tell me what to do.
He's frantic and armed, gesturing wildly with his gun and threatening to shoot himself. But he's not the one who gets shot.
Well, the gun went off. The sheriff's deputy, she got nicked by the bullet.
She rushes out and tells authorities about the accidental shooting.
At which time they order Charlie and the attorney friend out of the house at gunpoint. And they take Charlie into custody. He is taken to the Hollywood station of the Los Angeles Police Department, and he is placed in an interview room.
They need to find Linda and press him for information. He gives them his version of what happened.
During our conversation, he had mentioned that he had hired her to do a photo shoot, and that he wanted her to drive the vehicle in the sand, to kick up the sand in order to get an action shot of it.
His story was he wanted her to drive donuts with the SUV, and so he was showing her how to do it.
The back end of the car just basically went out of control.
I hit her.
And hit Miss Sobek and accidentally killed her.
Now they know what they've long feared. Linda Sobek is dead.
He's still talking about it being an accident, that he accidentally did it, and that he panicked, and that he placed her in the vehicle, and that he buried her in the desert. So we asked him to help us. If this is an accident, would you help us find where she's at? So we brought in a map of the Angeles National Forest, and he had pointed to places where he may have buried her. We got in our vehicles and we drove him out to the dry lake bed that he said that they were doing the donuts in. He said, I think I may have buried her there. We looked there. We looked under yucca trees. We looked behind rocks.
They don't find her. They plan a helicopter search for the next day. That night in jail, Rathbun breaks.
Charlie had attempted suicide, that with a razor, he had slit his wrist and had written on the jail wall in his own blood, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. So I transported him to the hospital, the emergency room, and while he's being looked at by the doctor, I talked to him some more. And I asked him if he's still willing to show us where he had buried Miss Sobek, and he agreed to assist.
He then joined the detectives for one of the most amazing days I can remember. They searched for hours and hours and hours trying to find her body.
At the end of the day, he pointed to a location and says, I believe that's it. They had turned over a big rock, and they saw Miss Sobek's knee, and they immediately closed up the scene as a crime scene and called for forensics.
It's been 8 days since the talented young woman disappeared.
They found her in very good condition, considering she had been there for several days because of the mountain altitude, and it was in November.
The coroner for Los Angeles County was able to determine that she had been beaten. His examination of her had no indications of an accident.
She had several contusions, a lot of bruising. He hit her hard enough to drive her earrings into her neck. She had been sexually assaulted with a foreign object, and they determined later on that it was actually Charlie's .45 caliber firearm that he had used.
Cause of death, strangulation. At trial, prosecutors explain what the evidence shows really went down that day.
You know, I think you're gonna be perfect for this part.
Thank you.
What I believe happened was that Charlie was up to his old tricks. He tried to seduce women with his camera, promised to make them famous. He lured her out to an area that was secluded.
It's getting really late.
I think he made advances towards her and that she rebuffed, and this made him angry.
Let me change my camera, hold on. Stay there.
He then sexually assaulted her. He beat her, choked her, and buried her body. That's exactly what I think happened. During the court trial, Charlie testified. And what he testified to is something totally different than what he first told me. And what he finally said in court was that he and Linda were engaged in consensual sex, and that it got rough. She didn't like this rough consensual sex, and that he pinned her down because she was supposedly assaulting him. And this compression that he used to keep her down is what subsequently killed her.
In the end, Charles was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without parole, and he got exactly what he deserved. Linda was a pro. She had done countless modeling gigs, and because of that, she thought, hey, another photo shoot, I'll go out, and it's no big deal.
Unfortunately, out of all the people she could meet, she met Charles Rathbun.
There was a certain sadness within the community because people identified with her. Linda was a beach girl. She was somebody like them, and she was somebody who was intricately part of the community, and she had lots of friends and neighbors, and it was just, you know, very, very sad.
Rathbun took everything from Linda, not just her life, but her future. She was destined to be a great star. And on top of that, she wanted a family, and he took all of that from her and didn't care. It truly is ironic that in the end, Linda did get fame. She did get stardom, and it was for all the wrong reasons. Her death really put her on the map.
Just remember that I love you all